In the news this week, the Scottish Government's ban on public worship is ruled unlawful. Westminster's move to increase abortion services in Northern Ireland causes anger, and new fragments of Dead Sea Scrolls are uncovered for the first time in more than 60 years. Hello. The Scottish Government's ban on gathering for public worship during the pandemic has been ruled unlawful. Holyrood ministers had claimed churches had not really been closed as they could be used for food banks. Court of Session Judge Lord Braid called that argument misleading. It is no more correct to state that churches remain open because certain activities may be carried out there than it would be to state that cinemas remain open because they are used as jury centres. The judge accepted that Christians had been prevented from practising their religion, ruling that listening to prayer, preaching and teaching from home does not amount to collective worship. The case was backed by Christian Concern and Alliance Defending Freedom. Reverend Dr. William Phillip of the Tron Church Glasgow and an Institute trustee led the legal action. He welcomed the result.
Well, we're delighted that in Lord Braid's judgment, he has upheld the constitutional rights and also the vitally important rights under human rights legislation of the freedom of people in Scotland to gather together publicly to worship as the Christian Church. And by doing so, I hope that he will have protected that for us, not just now, but in the future, and also struck a blow for wider freedoms for those of other faiths and indeed of none.
The Northern Ireland Secretary Brandon Lewis has provoked outrage by threatening to override the executive if it does not increase abortion services nationally. Liberal abortion laws were introduced on the 31st of March last year after being imposed by Westminster. Abortions rose from 22 in the year before the new regulations to 1,345 since. But Mr. Lewis now has controversial powers to force the Northern Ireland Department of Health to commission more services. Westminster has been accused of a power grab over the move, and many MPs spoke powerfully against it during a debate.
Access to abortion services is a devolved issue, and this action represents a breach of the Belfast Agreement. Mr. Speaker, it is time for the government to recognise the errors of their way and repeal Section 9 and restore Northern Ireland's life-affirming laws.
We want to see women in Northern Ireland have access to the best health care, of course, but we also believe passionately in protecting the life of the unborn child in Northern Ireland. And that is a view shared right across our society. It is the view of a majority in the Northern Ireland Assembly.
The fact is that the overwhelming majority of the people of Northern Ireland believe in the sanctity of life. They oppose abortion. They have their own devolved administration. They should be allowed to run their own affairs.
Channel 4 has come under fire for its new programme, Strangers Making Babies. The show aims to pair people who want to co-parent a child, but without a romantic relationship. It has been criticised for presenting children as a commodity rather than the precious result of marriage. The Institute's Kieran Kelly called the idea exploitative and irresponsible and said Channel 4 had hit a new low. Children do best when they are brought up with the love of their married mum and dad, not for the so-called entertainment of a television audience. And finally, new fragments of Dead Sea Scrolls have been found, the first in more than 60 years. They contain Greek translations of Nahum and Zechariah dating back to the early 2nd century. The discovery was made by the Israel Antiquities Authority. Its director, Israel Hassan, hailed the find as gifts of immeasurable worth for mankind. Zechariah 8:16 was identified among the fragments. These are the things you are to do. Speak the truth to each other and render true and sound judgment in your courts. Well, that's all for this week. For more information on all of our stories plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.